24 tributes enter the arena, but only one comes out a victor. The Hunger Games books and movies reveal 23 named winners. Here is everything we know. Lucy Gray Baird won the 10th Hunger Games, coming from the smallest and poorest District 12, home of the coal miners. But Lucy Gray was no coal miner. She was a singer, a natural performer, the kind of spectacle those crude, early Hunger Games needed to survive. As a child, Lucy Gray traveled around the districts with a musical group called the Covey. When travel and communication between the districts became forbidden, they were confined to District 12, but never lost their love for music. If anything, their tunes became more passionate and defiant. The Covey are known for their high-spirited, lively nature. Their children's names follow a unique pattern. The first part inspired by a song or poem, the second by a color. Lucy Gray's name comes from the poem Lucy Gray, which tells the story of mourning a girl who disappears and is presumed dead. Lucy Gray captured the Capitol's attention, a rare feat during the early, brutal years of the games. But more than that, she captured the heart of her mentor, Coriolanus Snow. It was Snow's feelings for Lucy Gray that helped her cheat death and claim victory. In the movie, she calms the rainbow snake mutts with her singing, but the outcome was rigged as Coriolanus had made the snakes familiar with her scent so they wouldn't attack her. In the book, the games end when Lucy Gray outlasts the boy from District 11, then waits half an hour before the game makers finally declare her the victor. Lucy Gray's mentor, Coriolanus, was thrilled. He had won the Hunger Games as her mentor and won the girl. But those feelings ultimately led him down a dark path toward becoming the ruthless tyrant who would one day rule the games. Lucy Gray, the songbird who escaped the games, and now forever flies throughout Panem. Mags is the oldest known victor alive during the time of the main series. Hailing from District 4, she won the 11th Hunger Games. Little is known about her games, other than it was likely the first to take place in an outdoor arena, though the tech wasn't quite there yet. Some theories say the pool of water from the end of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes movie, the one containing this nautical mutt, was used in Mag's arena, since she competed the year after Lucy Gray. If true, it could be her swimming ability, being from the fishing District 4, that kept her alive. We also know she formed a close partnership with her district partner, doing whatever she could to keep him alive. And she was the first tribute to ever have a victory tour. We don't get much insight into her actual games, but we feel the wisdom she carries from watching the Hunger Games evolve firsthand. Over the years, she became the mentor of District 4, guiding many tributes to victory, not just from her own district, but from other districts as well. She often tells the tributes who are about to go into the arena, "I know what you want. You want to live." But most people in the arena want something more than that. For Mags, that something more was protecting her district partner. That message gave her tributes something to fight for. The 75th year of the Hunger Games was a quarter quell, a twisted celebration of the games that happens every 25 years. The year of these games, also known as the third quarter quell, reaped victors, to remind the districts that even their strongest couldn't overcome the power of the capital. Mags was the oldest tribute to participate, and she wasn't chosen, she volunteered, because after all this time, she never stopped protecting her allies. Woof is a male victor from District 8, one of the most rebellious districts. But when we meet Woof, he seems like he doesn't know what's going on. He's an elderly man, hard of hearing, often distant, and seemingly disconnected from his surroundings. It's believed he had won sometime between the 12th and 15th Hunger Games. Not long after Mags, but still before the capital began using those high-tech arenas. His arena was likely a simple, outdoor environment, without the bells and whistles of later games. Cedar is a female victor from District 11, though the exact games she won are unknown, speculated to be sometime during the early 3rd decade. In the movies, she has dark skin and short black hair, but in the books, she's described as having olive skin, straight black hair with streaks of gray from age, and golden brown eyes. Minus the eye color, her description is very similar to Katniss and others who come from the part of District 12 called the Seam. It's where all the coal miners live. With Districts 11 and 12 being neighbors, it's possible that their people share common ancestry before they were confined to their separate districts. Cedar appears reserved and embodies the kindness often associated with District 11. She reassures Katniss that nothing happened to the families of her allies, though they would have been easy targets after chaos broke out in District 11. District 3 houses many of Panem's factories, but its main export is technology. Tributes from this district usually approach the games not with force, but with strategy. Beetee, one of the brightest minds in Panem, won the games doing just that. His final act was a stroke of genius. While being hunted by the last 6 tributes, who were all moving in a pack, he connected 2 wires and electrocuted them all at once. While the exact details of his arena remain unknown, pulling off such a feat likely required water, or at least a damp environment. Could it be that his arena was a marsh or a swamp? Beetee continued using his intellect after his victory as an inventor, and he even devised a plan to sabotage the capital's communication systems. This was seen as an act of defiance, punishable by death. But Beetee's knowledge of capital technology was too valuable to lose. Instead of executing him, the capital forced his son into the arena in a later games, with Beetee made to serve as his mentor. Years later, in Mockingjay, Beetee reworked the rebellion's communication system, successfully blocking capital broadcasts and replacing them with rebel messages. This could very well be the completed version of the project he had begun and been punished for years earlier. Porter Millicent Tripp is the only known victor from District 5, and she's not mentioned in the movies or even in the books. She first appeared in promotional material for the movies, where posters were released showcasing a mix of familiar and new victors. Porter was one of the new additions, sparking debate over whether she's canon. But since nothing contradicts her existence, we accept it. Porter Millicent Tripp was the victor of the 38th Hunger Games. Her last name, Tripp, is a clever nod to a trip switch, a safety device that automatically shuts off electrical power when a fault is detected. Fitting for someone from the Power District. All that's known about her games is that she broke her neck in the final showdown, resulting in a spinal injury, and had to wear a brace throughout her ceremonies and victory tour. Brutus is bald and has a mini obsession for the games. He's speculated to have won during the 4th decade and most likely volunteered, as many career tributes do. Coming from District 2, where the pursuit of glory runs deep, victors from Districts 1, 2, and 4 are celebrated, and winning is considered a great honor. When the opportunity to fight in another games came around some 30 years later, Brutus volunteered, eager for another shot at glory. Because Brutus took part in the Quarter Quell, he holds a rare place in history, holding the title as the last tribute to ever die in the arena. Chaff is from District 11 and winner of the 45th games, where he lost his hand in the final fight. It's customary for the capital to replace missing limbs with a prosthetic, but Chaff refused. Chaff is known to never be able to stay out of a fight. Some victors turn to drugs. Chaff turns to alcohol, drowning away his sorrows. He even makes dark jokes at his own expense, perhaps another way to cope with his trauma. Palladium Barker won the 46th Hunger Games, bringing honor to District 1. The name Palladium is taken from a metal similar to platinum, common naming practice for those in District 1. While we never meet him directly, as he's only briefly mentioned in the books, we cross paths with his younger brother, Panache, who competed in a later games. If Palladium shared the same traits as Panache, a classic career tribute, he likely volunteered and may have been the largest physically in the arena, known for his muscular build and strength, but not his brain. Wiress won the Hunger Games without taking a single life. She claimed victory in the 49th year by simply outlasting her opponents, a rare feat made possible by the arena's unusual design paired with her unmatched intellect. They called it the Nest of Mirrors. everything gleamed. The silver cornucopia, the sky, the water, even the tributes' outfits were reflective. It was a visually disorienting arena, infamous for being unwatchable. She studied how the light bounced across the surfaces, eventually discovering a hiding spot where reflections cloaked her completely. Even the Capitol had trouble sending her sponsored gifts, as their own surveillance couldn't figure out where she was. Wiress knew that if she was going to die, she didn't want it to be at night. The thought terrified her. But in the end, she didn't die. She won when it came down to her and the boy from District 6. When Wiress finally revealed herself, he lunged only to strike at her reflection. He cracked his head on one of the mirrors and drowned in a nearby lake. Although she was a victor, she didn't have the most exciting win. Following her games, Wiress mentored a tribute the Capitol deemed rebellious, someone who stirred trouble in the arena. For her involvement, she was punished, tortured in a way that shattered her mind. Now her head twitches in a bird-like fashion, a lasting effect of what the Capitol had done. She's given the nickname Nuts for this erratic behavior, a parallel to the confusing design of her arena turning the tributes nuts, all but her. Wiress was another tribute later chosen for the Quarter Quell, and she's the only victor we know to have played in 2 Hunger Games without taking a single life. Haymitch Abernathy from District 12 won the 50th Hunger Games, also recognized as the second Quarter Quell. The twist was doubling the tributes, 4 from each district, 48 kids in the arena. Haymitch grew up in the Seam, District 12's coal mining area. At 16, he was sharp, charming, and in love with a girl named Lenore Dove, who spoke against the games. This influence carried over to Haymitch. After being forced as a tribute, he played the games as a rascal, causing trouble and breaking the rules, even momentarily breaking out of the arena. His arena was one of the most beautiful, an endless meadow of flowers, a stunning mountain, and a lush forest. But everything was designed to kill. The flowers were poisonous, the squirrels carnivorous, and the mountain volcanic. Playing as the troublemaker, trying to stick it to the Capitol, he became a target. But he also showed courage and proved to be a dependable ally. It came down to an axe fight with a girl from District 1 named Silka Sharp. Haymitch got a huge gash across his stomach, a scar he would have for the rest of his life. Silka was a skilled fighter, bigger than Haymitch and just as fast. When she threw an axe at him, it hit the force field, bouncing back, driving deep into her skull. When Haymitch was declared victor and all the cameras were on him, he made one final defiant move. Hoping his girl back home would be proud, he finally stuck it to the Capitol, and he was sure that whatever capital punishment would have come after the games would be much worse. He was right. At the replay of his games during the victor's ceremony, debts were rearranged and alliances falsely broken. Haymitch learned just how much he was at the mercy of the Capitol, and that as a mentor, he would never escape the unfairness thrust upon him. So he drowns his frustrations in liquor, reminded every day who the real enemy is. Little is known about Lyme from District 2, except that she stands over 6 feet tall and is heavily muscled. She doesn't have the beauty, but the brute warrior force of a District 2 career. Katniss watched a recording of her games while preparing for the Quarter Quell in Catching Fire, noting that Lyme had won more than a generation ago. There are subtle hints the Capitol may have done something to her after her victory, some form of punishment or betrayal that caused her to lose their trust. This would make sense, as during the Second Rebellion to overthrow the Capitol and the Games, Lyme serves as a commander in District 2, helping the rebels infiltrate the Nut, a major peacekeeper base, throwing her support behind the rebel cause in a district loyal to the Capitol. Blight is the only known male victor from District 7. While much about him remains a mystery, his movie portrayal, depicting him as around 40 to 50 years old, suggests he likely won between the 51st and 55th games. His name Blight refers to a plant disease, fitting given District 7's ties to the lumber industry, We don't know exactly how he won, but it was likely through skills like climbing, hiding, and possibly wielding an axe as a weapon. Cecilia from District 8 won the Hunger Games and eventually started a family. When she was selected for the Quarter Quell, she appeared to be in her 30s, and it's documented that her 3 children clung to her, refusing to let her go as she was forced to leave them for another round in the arena. Enobaria, another victor from District 2, won the 62nd Hunger Games. Her most famous moment came during hand-to-hand combat, when she bit into her rival's neck and tore out their throat with her teeth. This act made her a capital sensation, and she later cosmetically altered her teeth into fangs inlaid with gold to match her brutal legacy. She remains one of the most beloved and feared winners in history. Gloss claimed victory in the 63rd Games, representing District 1, followed by his sister, Cashmere, who won the following year. This appears to be a strategy District 1 has tested, sending sibling tributes. If the first becomes a victor, the second can enter the games with the added angle of being related to a beloved champion. Gloss was handsome and charming. He offers Katniss to hang out with him, and she describes him as polite but cool. In the film, he's a skilled speaker who came across as genuine, taking time to thank the audience for their kindness. He calls the Capitol part of their family, a clever way to reinforce the brother-sister dynamic. Cashmere leaned more into the performance, playing to the cameras and willing to display heightened emotions to get a response from the viewers. Finnick Odair is the cocky, confident victor from District 4, the fishing district, best known for being the youngest ever winner in Hunger Games history, claiming victory at 14. As a trained career tribute who volunteered, Finnick's greatest edge wasn't just his skill, but his looks. Tall, athletic, with golden skin and bronze-colored hair. His charm and appearance earned him a flood of sponsors, supplying him with all the food, medicine, and weapons he needed. When the 65th Games began, Finnick sprinted to the cornucopia, collecting various knives and spears. It quickly became clear he was gifted with blades, but when he received a trident, one of the most expensive sponsor gifts ever, the game was practically over. The trident was a deadly extension of his arm. At first, most competitors underestimated him because of his age, but by the time they realized he was the real threat, it was too late. Finnick used materials from the arena to craft his own ropes, weaving them into nets to trap opponents before finishing them off with his trident. It wasn't long before the crown was his. To the cameras, Finnick was all charm and confidence, but behind that persona, he carried the same trauma as any other victor. He found comfort in someone he loved deeply, Annie Cresta, a girl from back home. 2 years after winning, he was forcefully sold exclusively to Capitol citizens, in which he was paid not with money, but learning valuable secrets he may one day use. Despite everything the Capitol took from him, he found strength in Annie and spent his life keeping her as close as possible. Augustus Braun won the 67th Hunger Games for District 1. Dubbed the favorite son, he captivated audiences with his unkempt persona and natural charisma, becoming a symbol of reconciliation. Unlike the usual polish expected of District 1 tributes, Augustus appeared more relatable and down to earth. He came to represent sincerity and prosperity, using his victory tour to promote a message of unity. He was nicknamed the Cavalier Career, Cavalier referring to his unconventional, stylish, and nonchalant demeanor, which felt romanticized rather than brutal or overly calculated. At the turn of the decade, the 70th Hunger Games belonged to Annie Cresta of District 4, the only tribute who knew how to swim, an advantage that proved crucial when a game maker triggered earthquake, burst a dam, and flooded the arena. Annie's games left a lasting mark. She saw her district partner beheaded, which triggered a mental breakdown, and now she is almost always mentioned alongside her struggles with mental illness. She is said to have gone off the deep end after her games, and her boyfriend Finnick helps her tell reality from fantasy by playing a game called Real or Not Real. She's considered the mad girl who's the only person on Earth Finnick loves. Annie is described as a hysterical young woman with flowing brown hair, a big difference to her red-haired portrayal in the movies. Joanna Mason won the following year with one of the bloodiest ends in Hunger Games history. At 17, she entered the arena as the underdog. District 7 didn't have a female victor, and she leaned into that perception. It's said Joanna spent most of the games hiding, playing the part of a sniveling coward, so her opponents wouldn't see her as a threat. She may have even earned a low training score intentionally to support the strategy. But when only a few tributes remained, Joanna unleashed her axe-wielding skills, honed in the Lumber District, and eliminated every remaining tribute in a single day, racking up multiple kills and securing an unforgettable, hard-earned victory. Her win turned her into a fan favorite. She was a plot twist in the Hunger Games. The Capitol's higher-ups pushed her to comply with unfavorable activities. While she refused, they executed her family and friends, leaving her alone in her Victor's Village mansion. But when you've lost everything, you have nothing left to lose, and the once sniveling coward became a sharp-tongued rebel, a dangerous threat to the system that glorified her. Peeta Mellark grew up in the merchant class of District 12, one of 3 sons born to the local bakers. People from this side of town were known for their blonde hair and blue eyes, a stark contrast to the dark-haired coal miners of the Seam. In the 74th Hunger Games, Peeta was reaped as District 12's male tribute. Peeta's ideology was simple: never lose himself. He believed the Capitol had no right to take away who he was. So even though the odds weren't in his favor, what he showed the cameras was always real. He confessed his feelings for his district partner before the entire nation, and even joined the Careers, not to win, but to protect her. That choice nearly cost his life, as a District 2 Career slashed open his leg with a sword, an injury that would have killed him if not for medicine sent by the Capitol. He survived much to the credit of his partner, Katniss, who got his medicine and saved him several times. He later lost that injured leg and now walks with a prosthetic. Sometimes it makes him clumsy, slipping in the snow. Peeta survives by being himself, honest, sincere, and kind. But he didn't come out unscathed. The Capitol hijacked his mind, rewriting his memories and turning him into a weapon against any threat to the Capitol. What they didn't account for was Peeta's unshakable will to never let the Capitol take away who he truly is. Katniss Everdeen volunteered for the 74th Hunger Games. Despite coming from the poorest district, where weapons are illegal, she knew how to use a bow, taught by her father before he died in a mine explosion. After his death, Katniss fell into a depression, but with her mother withdrawn too, she stepped up to care for her sister, Prim. Katniss is reserved, but shows love by protecting her loved ones, even at the cost of herself. So when Prim's name was called at the reaping, Katniss took her place. Her sacrifice ignited the games. She was dubbed the Girl on Fire, exactly the kind of impression you want to make, and it creatively ties into the burning coal of District 12's industry. And she backed up this image with an impressive training score of 11 out of 12. Her arena was a large forest with poisonous berries, hornets that cause hallucinations, and werewolf mutts resembling fallen tributes. Katniss was raw and emotional, fueled by anger at the system and little hope of survival. She laid her ally to rest in a bed of flowers, risked her life for Peeta's medicine, and showed the kind of humanity the games were meant to erase. To the Capitol audience, she was captivating. To the districts, she was defiant. When the rules changed to allow 2 victors, she allied with Peeta. Their romance began as a survival tactic. When the girl from District 5 died after eating poisonous nightlock berries, Katniss wondered if it was an accident or a trick. It reminded her that in the games, survival sometimes meant deception. In a final act, Katniss turned the Capitol's control against them when they revoked the rule of allowing 2 victors, hoping for a final showdown between the star-crossed lovers. She and Peeta threatened a joint suicide with those poisonous berries, forcing the Capitol to crown 2 victors or none. And so began the cycle of keeping each other alive. A very Katniss way of saying, I love you. That is all 23 named victors in the Hunger Games. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Check around the channel for more explanations, theories, and what-ifs, all to do with the Hunger Games. And if there's any topics you'd like for me to explore, comment them down below. Thanks for tuning in to today's games. I'll catch you in the next one.